Hello. So, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to start a playlist, and this playlist is to officially document my process to become a recognized Filipino or permanent residence in the Philippines. And the reason why I'm choosing to create this playlist, even though I have posted some videos before about my feelings in regards to this journey I'm about to share, I decided to officially create a playlist because my situation's complicated. I feel it's complicated. And when I was doing research for myself, there wasn't anybody out there to help me. And even when I would refer to government agencies, websites, talking to people on the phone, YouTube, there was nothing that really applied to me because of my complications. So I'm creating a playlist for myself because I don't want to forget the journey that I've been on to get to the point where I am today, which it's been an emotional roller coaster. I'm going to add some videos that I created prior to this one. I'm going to add them first because it does represent my thought process during different points of time, especially over this past year. But anyway, this is me sharing what the heck I did to figure out how to become a recognized Filipino or a permanent resident in the United States, and some of the complications that I've encountered as I went on this emotional roller coaster. So let's go ahead and get started. So I was adopted, and I have lived my entire life believing that I was adopted like shortly before I was born or right after I was born. So within at least the first year of my birth. I mean, I was always told I was adopted before I was born, and because after I was born in the Philippines, I was born in Angeles City, Pampanga, I went home with my birth parents, American citizens, and that's the life I've known my entire life. That's my family, okay? I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. So I was an Air Force brat, and we primarily lived in the United States, but for the first 3 years of my life, I did live in the Philippines. But I don't know the life of living in the Philippines. I'm learning Tagalog now. I did not grow up learning Tagalog. The only thing I learned was how to make lumpia. But now that I've moved to the Philippines, I don't know how to make lumpia. I learned an Americanized version of lumpia. That's my take on it. So it was in 2015 I married my second husband, and we were on our wedding and honeymoon. We're in Vegas, so we were there for like 2.5 weeks. Loved Vegas. I originally thought I was going to retire in Las Vegas, to be honest. But we were at an Asian grocery store, and it hit me like a ton of bricks that I didn't realize. I did not realize how much I wanted to be around people who looked like me. That was in 2015. And it was just such a strong emotional feeling for me that since that point, I have not been able to shake. Moving forward, the pandemic hit, March 2020, and of course we had to hunker down, and my husband and I were just talking. I was close to retirement, so I had maybe a year and a half left before I could retire, 30 years as an educator. But I had a year and a half left, and it was August 2020. I remember my husband asking me about retiring to Malaysia, just retiring abroad, basically. And I said, sure. I mean, I told him when I retire, I'll go wherever he wants to go, because we could travel and visit, but I love traveling, and I didn't care. I didn't feel like we needed to stay in Michigan to be happy. And originally our plan was to retire in Las Vegas. So no big deal. Anyway, he initially said Malaysia, and I said sure. So he was doing more research, and then he came back to me and he asked me, what about the Philippines? And I will be honest, I said no. And the reason why I said no was because when I was 13 and I told my mother I wanted to go to the Philippines, my adoptive mother, I told her, I want to go to the Philippines. I wanted to see people who looked like me. Her first reaction was, her only reaction was, no, you don't want to do that. And that shocked me. And she basically said, because there's so much poverty there, she did not want to expose that to me. And as a 13-year-old, I respected that. In my head, I decided, okay, then I will never go to the Philippines or express any interest in going to the Philippines while my mother is alive. And I pretty much honored that. My mother passed away in 1996. My adoptive mother passed away in 1996. So when I initially told my husband in 2020 that I did not want to go to the Philippines, it was because I'd lived an entire life of, I'm not going to do that to honor my adoptive mother, my mom. But then I thought about it, and I thought, I don't have to honor that promise to her anymore. And I thought back on my experience in 2015 of wanting to be around people who looked like me. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I thinking? Okay, let's look into it. So from that moment onward, August 2020, I have now been on a journey on what can I do to become a recognized Filipino. In my mind, I was hoping for dual citizenship, which is a whole nother experience that I will have to share at another time. But for right now, I've now accepted the fact that chances are I'm going to not retire in Las Vegas, but I'm going to retire in the Philippines. I'm going to just change my life, and we're just going to go for it. And I have a husband who's like, he's with me. The problem was, I didn't know what to do. So I had to do a lot of research, and I needed to figure out, what do I need to do? Because I can't find information on any website that applies to my unique situation. I can't find any YouTube videos on anybody else in YouTube land that might have lived an experience like mine. And even though I think there are videos, I just didn't know what keywords to type in to reach out to those people. So most of what I'm doing, I am following the government agencies' procedures, but I'm also winging it. because there are some things that I don't have access to because I don't know. So for example, like the only paperwork I've lived with would be my visa application. See, that's me. My visa application from 1969, so that I could get a United States, so I could leave the Philippines. That was number one. So this is so I could leave the Philippines. Then from there, to get a United States passport, again, that's me, so that I could enter the United States at the age of 3, okay? And then from there, this is a photocopy. I do have the original, but this is my naturalization paper, so I am a naturalized United States citizen. The issue is I don't have a Filipino birth certificate. And based on my research, with the visa that I would need is a balikbayan visa, so I could enter the Philippines without any issues and at least stay for a year and then have that year to kind of figure it out. All right, because so I'm in the midst of figuring it out right now with my permanent residency in the Philippines. But back in August 2020, I didn't have a birth certificate. So, and I lived my entire life without a birth certificate. I knew nothing about where I was born other than Angeles City, Pampanga. I knew nothing about my birth mother other than what my mother told me. My mother told me that she was a hostess. My mother told me that my father was played in a band. That my parents helped with my birth mother's medical needs to make sure that while she was pregnant with me, that she made doctor's appointments and all this other stuff. Okay, that's what I knew. That's all I knew. But I needed a birth certificate. So through my research, of course, I went to PSA Serbilis onto their website, and I wrote down all the things that I needed. I found out that it was going to cost about $20, and then of course whatever the FedEx fees for the delivery. Okay, so I needed to indicate my certificate type, which is my birth certificate, that I am typing in a request for, it's called a copy of issuance. I needed my name. I needed to know my place of birth, which I did know, which would be the province and the city. My birth date, gender, my mother's name. I didn't know my mother's name. Yeah, I didn't know my mother's name. I'm trying to remember. That is one of the requirements. I did not know my mother's name, and I did not know my father's name. Okay? And that was it. I knew her last, I think I knew a name, Iba. Maybe I did know. Oh, no. My last name was Iba. But I think I was told a different first name. I think that was it. But my name was Iba. Last name was Iba for at least 3 years. And note that I just said, I thought I was adopted like around the time I was born or within the first year. I found out later I was not. So again, the complications for myself. Anyway, indicating payment, sent that, did all of that online, right? It took 2 to 3 months for me to get my birth certificate. And see, I'm already getting emotional because it was the first time I ever saw my birth certificate, and it comes in 2 pages, okay? And normally I don't keep receipts, but because it was something that I had never seen, my birth certificate, I kept like the envelope and the receipt. Come to find out, always keep the receipt, anything in the Philippines, when it comes to especially any document. So of course I kept the receipt, and it was the first time I saw her name, first time I saw where I was born, the first time I found out I am her 3rd child. I always thought I was the only one, but to know I really do have siblings out there. I thought that, I always thought in my mind, not that I was told this, that my birth father was, you know, with my birth mother, and he's not listed. And I remember the moment that you're seeing right now is how I felt when I received my birth certificate. It was just a really emotional time for me, and obviously it still is, because it's just a part of my identity that I never knew existed until my 50s, which is so funny that it took me until my 50s to really find a part of me. And it just really solidified how much more I wanted to identify as being Filipino and coming to the Philippines. So I just really started doing more research on what do I need to do to come to the Philippines. And so once I received my birth certificate, I went on the Bureau of Immigration website and just started the process to become a recognized Filipino or dual citizenship. Whatever, I'll take it. Whatever you want to give me, I'll take it. But for right now, to know that I am a Balikbayan visa Filipino, I'm happy with that for now. I know that I personally just want more, and this playlist is to share what I did to acquire more, to become more, and hopefully it'll be less emotional, but it'll be therapeutic for me, because it's helping me recall everything that I've done to become more of who I am, and finding a piece of me that I did not realize that I've always wanted. Anyway, I'm creating this playlist about my perspective as I share my journey, and I appreciate the fact that you are listening. So I hope to see you again soon, and I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Bye.